Welcome back for another deep dive. I know a lot of you have been thinking about this, and so have we. Just how close are we to AGI and even super AI? And you know what comes next? How should we prepare for the changes? We're diving into a column today by Kang-Hoon Lee. He's the director of the Korea Artificial Intelligence Research Institute. And what's so fascinating about his piece is that Lee argues that AGI isn't something way off in the future. He thinks it's already here.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely a bold statement. It really challenges those timelines that a lot of people have in their heads, and even the definition of AGI for some people.
Exactly right. And Lee uses some recent developments as evidence. OpenAI, for example, has a new model. It's called O1, and it's showing some pretty amazing problem-solving skills, way better than the older models.
Yeah, it's impressive. O1 is just crushing it on the International Math Olympiad. It's got like an 83% success rate.
83%?
Compared to just 13% for GPT-4o. I mean, even some of the researchers at OpenAI, Vahid Kazemi, for example, are saying they've already achieved AGI.
That's a huge statement. But does being good at math problems really mean it's reached AGI? I feel like there's more to intelligence than just being able to crunch numbers.
You've hit on a really important point. There's a lot of debate going on. People are arguing about what actually makes something AGI. The classic definition, is about an AI that can think and learn like we do across all sorts of different tasks. And while this O1 is amazing at solving problems, it's still kind of specialized.
So you're saying that O1 is a big step forward, but maybe it doesn't totally fit that broad definition of AGI that we usually think of.
Exactly. And what Lee's saying is that the definition of AGI itself is changing as AI gets better. If AI can beat humans in certain things, even if it's not generally intelligent yet, it makes us rethink our benchmarks.
Yeah, it's like the goalposts are moving as AI gets more and more sophisticated. So what will we think of as AGI in 5 years?
That's the big question. What we understand about human intelligence and artificial intelligence is changing all the time. What we used to think was the best example of AGI might be old news soon.
Okay, so that makes me think about other big names in AI like DeepMind and Microsoft. They're both working towards AGI, right? But their timelines seem pretty different.
It is interesting to see those predictions side by side. Dimas Hassabis over at DeepMind, he believes AGI is 5 to 20 years out. But even he says that AI is already doing stuff at a human level in some areas.
Yeah, and Mustafa Suleyman at Microsoft thinks it's at least 10 years away, mainly because of hardware limitations.
And that focus on hardware, that's really interesting to think about. Is it possible that the algorithms for AGI are already here, but we just don't have powerful enough computers to run them? I mean, that's a fascinating idea. And then you have the ARC prize, the one Francois Chollet from Google started. They're actually looking for totally different ways to reach AGI, not just focusing on these big language models.
Wow. So even the way we get to AGI is being debated. Some researchers are going in completely different directions. It's like we're trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep moving around.
Yeah, it really is. And with things changing so fast, it's hard to say exactly when and how we'll get to true AGI.
All right. So let's say for a minute that we are really close to AGI. What's next? What about super AI?
Now that's where things get really mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Super AI, that's intelligence that goes way beyond what humans can do. It can solve problems we can't even imagine yet.
Okay, that's starting to feel a bit like a sci-fi movie now, right? Lee talks about needing clear rules to even describe super AI. Why is that so important?
Well, if we're already having trouble defining AGI, think about how hard it'll be to even understand something as complex as super AI. We need clear definitions and ways to measure it. Otherwise, how can we even begin to understand it, let alone try to control it?
So we're trying to get ready for something that we don't even fully understand yet.
That's the challenge. What Lee's saying is that this is exactly why we can't wait. We need to start thinking about these things now before super AI actually gets here.
It is kind of unsettling when you really think about it, this whole idea of super AI just showing up before we even know what it is or how to deal with it.
Yeah, it's a big concern for sure. And it brings us to another thing. Lee talks about the danger of an AI arms race.
Oh, right. He mentions AI becoming like a tool for countries to get more powerful. What does that mean for AI development, especially for something as big as super AI?
Well, it could mean that countries start focusing more on being first than on being safe. They might rush things and not pay enough attention to ethics and safety just to get ahead.
So you're saying you have countries like China, the US, and Europe all competing to be the best in AI, and that competition could actually make it harder to develop AI responsibly?
Exactly. In a rush to be number one, they might skip important things like safety checks and ethical rules. And that's risky, especially with something as powerful as super AI.
It's a scary thought, this amazing technology that could change everything being developed in a race where safety might not be the top priority. It's like we're standing on the edge of a cliff.
It's definitely something to be worried about, and Lee says we need to be proactive. He suggests we do 3 things to deal with this.
Okay, let's break that down. What does he think we should do to make sure AI helps humanity in the future?
His first point is to make sure that the AI we have now is being used safely and ethically. We need to look closely at the systems we already have and ask some tough questions.
You mean questions like, are these systems biased? Are they being used the right way? Are there rules in place to stop them from being used for bad things?
Exactly. We need to go beyond just pointing out problems. We have to fix them. It's about making sure that the AI we use matches our values as a society. That's super important, even with the AI we have today, let alone what's coming in the future.
It sounds like we need to be more careful and deliberate about how we design, develop, and use AI. Okay, so what's Lee's second point?
His second point is all about setting up clear definitions and safety rules for super AI. I know it sounds kind of crazy since super AI doesn't really exist yet, but Lee says it's important to start thinking about these things now.
But how do you define and regulate something that's not even here yet? It's like trying to write rules for a game we haven't even invented.
It is a challenge, for sure. But we can use what we already know about AI and intelligence to guess what the risks and benefits might be. And we can learn from other fields that have dealt with powerful and maybe dangerous technology, like nuclear energy.
So we can use those past experiences to figure out how to handle super AI, even if it's totally different.
Right. It's about thinking ahead, managing risk, and putting rules in place to deal with problems even as the technology keeps changing.
And that brings us to Lee's third point, making sure countries work together on AI policies. Why is that so important to him?
Because if we don't work together and set up some global guidelines, we could end up with a really messy and dangerous AI landscape. Think about it. What if every country made its own super AI with its own ideas about what's right and wrong and what its goals are?
Yeah.
That could be a disaster.
It's like trying to control all the planes in the world without talking to each other or having any agreements. It would be total chaos.
Exactly. We need international agreements and organizations to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly, no matter where it comes from.
So it's about setting global standards for safety and ethics in AI, kind of like what we do with other dangerous things.
Exactly. We need to work together to make sure that AI is used to help humanity, not hurt it.
Lee's 3 points make sense, but they also show how complicated all this is. It's not just about the tech. It's about countries working together, ethics rules, and even rethinking what intelligence really means.
And that's not even all of it. Lee also talks about another really interesting thing that could change everything. What if AI and quantum computing merged?
Wait, hold on. Quantum computing and AI. What would that even mean for AI? That sounds straight out of science fiction.
It might sound like sci-fi, but it's actually closer than you think.
Yeah.
Quantum computing could speed up AI development like crazy thinking breakthroughs we can't even imagine right now.
So AI, that's not just smarter, but way faster and more efficient. What would that even look like?
The good things it could do are huge. Imagine AI solving really hard problems in seconds, designing new medicines or creating brand new art forms.
Yeah.
But there are risks too.
Like what kind of risks?
Well, one thing is that if AI develops that fast with quantum computing, we might not be able to keep up with it. We might not have enough time to set up rules and safety measures to make sure it's used safely.
So it's like hitting the gas pedal on AI development without having good brakes or a steering wheel.
That's a good way to put it. And it just shows how important it is to deal with the things Lee's talking about. We can't just wait and see what happens. We need to be active and careful about how we shape the future of AI.
This is a lot to take in, honestly. It's such a big and complex topic with so many unknowns. What can regular people even do about all of this? It feels so out of our control.
It's easy to feel that way, but we all have a part to play. We can start by learning about AI, understanding what it can do and what it can't do. We can talk about the ethical stuff and demand that the people making it be transparent.
So it's about being informed citizens and being part of the conversation.
Right. We can also support groups and projects that are working to make AI safe and ethical. And we can be picky about which AI products and services we use, choose the ones that match our values.
So it's a mix of individual action and working together. We need to be good citizens and also push for good development and rules on a bigger scale.
That's it. The future of AI isn't something that's happening to us. It's something we're making together.
That's a really good point. It reminds me of what Lee said in his column. He said, the future isn't going to wait for us to catch up.
He's right. We need to act now to make sure that AI is used to benefit all of humanity.
This has been a real deep dive. And there's a lot to think about. What's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think the most important thing is to remember that the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're creating with every choice we make, every conversation we have, and every action we take.
So it's not about just sitting back and watching. It's about getting involved and helping to shape the future we want.
Exactly. The future of AI isn't happening to us, we're making it together.
That's a really hopeful message. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. Thank you for joining us as we explored the amazing world of AI. It's amazing to think about all the things we've talked about in this deep dive. From that debate about whether AGI is already here to how quantum computing could change everything for AI, it's clear that something big is happening.
Yeah, it really is a crazy time to be seeing all this stuff develop. And like we've been saying, it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we decide to shape it and how it's going to affect society.
And that brings us back to what Kang-Hoon Lee was saying. He's really urging us to do something. He says, we can't just sit around and wait for the future to happen to us. We have to actually shape it. And that starts with understanding what we're up against and what the possibilities are.
He's got a point. And those challenges and possibilities are everywhere you look. Like we talked about before, we need to make sure we're using the AI we have right now in a safe and ethical way. That means dealing with bias, making sure it's used responsibly, and having rules to prevent it from being used for bad things.
It's like building a good foundation for the future of AI. We got to start with strong ethics and a commitment to using AI for good.
Exactly. And once we have that foundation, we need to start thinking about super AI. How do we define it and how do we control it? It's a big task for sure, but we can't ignore it. We can use what we already know about AI and learn from other fields that have worked with powerful tech, like nuclear energy.
I really like how you keep bringing up the idea of learning from the past. It's like a reminder that we don't always have to start from scratch when we're dealing with new and possibly dangerous technology.
Right. And then there's international cooperation. AI is a global thing. Its impact is going to be felt everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really important that we all work together to come up with guidelines and ethical frameworks so that AI helps everyone.
It's about understanding that we're all creating the future of AI together. No single country or company should be in charge of it. We have to work together and put shared values and responsible development first.
And that's what makes Lee's column so interesting, I think. He doesn't ignore the scary parts of AI, but he also focuses on the amazing things it could do. He reminds us that we have choices and that we're not just stuck with whatever future comes along. We're making it right now.
That's a really powerful and hopeful message. It reminds us that we're not just watching this technology happen. We all have a part to play in shaping the future of AI, and it starts with being aware, getting involved, and committing to doing it right.
I couldn't agree more. It doesn't matter if it's learning about AI, talking about the ethical stuff, or supporting groups that are promoting responsible AI. Each of us can make a difference.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a few key things to remember. First, AGI and super AI are not just sci-fi ideas that could really happen, and we need to be ready. Second, the future of AI is not already decided. It's something we're creating every day with the choices we make. And lastly, we all have a responsibility to make sure that AI is used for good, to create a future where technology helps humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. And don't forget, the future of AI isn't something to be scared of. It's something to be excited about, but also careful about. It's a really powerful tool that can be used in good ways or bad ways, and it's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly and ethically.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We hope you learned something and that it got you thinking. Keep exploring this amazing world of AI and be part of the conversation about its future.